So, it's Good Friday. The day of darkness. The day of death. The day that dreams were crushed. The day that hope seemed beaten. The day that our idea of who God was or what God was up to crumbled into dust. The day that this guy that the disciples had followed for years now failed, was beaten, was killed. What does that look like? What does that look like for them? What was Good Friday like for them? I don't imagine it felt very good. What is Good Friday like for us? What does it look like when maybe our ideas of what God is up to come crashing down? Maybe our ideas of what God is like get challenged, get shaken. Maybe our ideas of hope seem at best frail, if not defeated. What does that look like for us? And it seems to me that reading the story in the scriptures, there are different responses. You got the response of Peter, who just the night before was proudly confident that he would never walk away, that he would never quit, that he would never give up, that even if everyone else quit on Jesus, that he would be there. He was confident, he was brash, he was bold, he was a leader. But when the pressure came, when the dreams were crushed, when the questions were asked, when everything that he thought was real seemed to fall apart, he was found wanting. He ran away. He denied Jesus. He hid. He sought comfort around the fire. He pretended that he wasn't who he was. He didn't know, perhaps, who he was in that moment, because everything he thought he was about, everything he thought he followed, everything he thought made sense to him in life suddenly didn't make sense anymore, because here was the God that he had followed and worshipped being killed on a cross, the man that he had thought was going to save them being punished and crucified. And maybe for some of us, we thought we knew what God was up to, we thought we knew what God was doing, and today it doesn't feel like we know at all anymore. Today it doesn't feel like life makes as much sense as it used to. Today it feels like the God that we thought we knew, maybe we don't feel like we know him as well. Maybe everything's changed. Maybe God might be up to something else, but we don't know what it is. But it also strikes me that there's the women. There's Mary and there's Martha and there's this group of women who, whilst Jesus is on the cross and whilst he's dying, whilst he's crying out, they stand and they watch and they look at the pain. They don't run away. They don't hide their faces. They don't turn away. They look their pain in the face. They look death in the face. They, even when their world might be falling apart around them, they stand in the pain and they let the pain do something to them. They let the pain do something for them. Maybe they even have the courage to see God in the middle of the pain. They might not know when Sunday's coming, but they know Sunday's coming. They don't know that it's going to be 3 days away, but maybe they hold on to the hope that Jesus talked about this sort of thing. Jesus said that this wouldn't be the end. Jesus said that this was part of his plan and part of his purpose, and maybe even they couldn't understand it and it didn't make any sense anymore. They didn't know where God was in it. Maybe they had the courage to recognize where God was. Maybe they had the courage to stand in the middle of that loss and that pain and that death and that desperation and that fear. Maybe they had the courage to see God in it. And maybe that's something that we're able to do in the middle of this, even though our current circumstance might not make much sense, even though we might be confused by our surroundings, even though we might be struggling in our surroundings. Do we have the courage to say, okay, God, where are you in this? Do we have the courage to see what God is up for? Do we have the courage to wait? Because underlying it all is this hope. Underlying it all is this hope that says that in the end all will be well. And if all is not well, then it's not the end. You know, the psalmist doesn't really ask the question, why is this all happening to me? But the psalmist does ask the question, how long? How long will I sing this song? How long will we sit here in our pain and in our suffering? And today it seems like a pertinent question. We don't know how long. But as followers of Jesus, we know that Sunday's coming. We don't know how to make sense of all of this, but we know that Sunday's coming, and we know that God is in control. We know that God is. We know there's a bigger story at play, and that God is present in the middle of the suffering and in the middle of the pain. Let's be people who are courageous enough to look at the pain, who are courageous enough to sit and to wait. Let's be people who are courageous enough to allow the pain to disrupt us and to do something in us. To be people who are courageous enough to see God and discover God and discover maybe new perspectives on God in the middle of all of this. And I'd also love us on this Good Friday to take some time to pray for, to remember, to consider, to stand alongside all of those people who are working here in the NHS, people who are looking death in the face, people who are looking suffering in the face every day at the moment. Courageous people who aren't hiding and running away, but courageous people who are on the front line, working this out in every moment. And Lord, I just want to pray that they will know your presence. I want to pray that they will be emboldened by your courage. I want to pray that they will have your wisdom in the decisions that they need to make, the difficult, complex decisions. I pray that they will be filled with your compassion and filled with your love. I pray that you will keep them safe. I pray that you will keep them protected. I pray that you will keep them well. And Lord, may they know that we stand with them on this Good Friday. And may they know that Sunday's coming.